Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on the automobile industry, and more so, the challenges and opportunities it provides from a supply chain perspective. Our esteemed experts, Jagdish and Suhirtan, will be taking us through this interesting session. Jagdish, Suhi, thank you for joining us for this session, and I will hand it over to you both to share your thoughts. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Sujata. And thanks everybody for joining. Uh, let's just quickly get over the agenda of this discussion. So we're going to spend a few minutes, the initial part of this webinar on automobile industry, the supply chain space around us, the digital trends in this industry and so on. And we'll get a glimpse of automotive aftermarket, which is predominantly in spares, maintenance and services aspect of automobile industry. Then the customer journey, kind of B2C customer journey, what kind of touch points in the supply chain, what are the parties involved, what transactions and so forth, the experience part of it. The challenges, definitely each industry is not free from challenges, and what are the top 5 or 6 challenges what this industry is facing. And then the solution offering together from IBM and Acquer, and there are success stories which we are going to basically talk about a bunch of them. So moving on, so this is predominantly the kind of industry volume in terms of commercials and where the digital growth is transforming into. Moreover, the end consumers today, whether it could be domestic, it could be commercial, it could be military, it could be B2B, B2C businesses, right? In the automobile industry, everybody is seeing a paradigm shift on the digital behavior of customer experience, which is eventually pulling the whole supply chain in a very different way. When I say that, it means that the kind of behavior on the vehicle fulfillment, or for example in this case car fulfillment, is not very different, but how um, aggressively you can promise, how uh, accurately the delivery of a particular spare part can be promised and fulfilled. What can be the commitment levels? Are there any uh, operational things which are finer parts of the supply chain which needs to be brought in to account for every minute visibility and transparency into the customer, right? So we have seen now this part of the pandemic, where pandemic is over, people have adopted digital technologies, talking about IoT based vehicles, but everybody want to just say Apple Siri, close my boot in 2 minutes, or Alexa, roll up my windows, right? So that is a kind of customer expectation in terms of features. And then we are seeing a different set of customers who are kind of green customers, what we see as the sustainability theme, which is coming in every quarter of the planet, right? More of looking for electric vehicles, the carbon emission sensitive aspect of businesses who are basically given tax incentives by the governments. So you're going to see a lot of these patterns from what is happening around the world. However, the customer's penetration point has changed really different. Customers are today not just reading reviews, talking to their friends, getting reference about a make or a model of a car. Rather, they have a variety of options of different car makers with different features. They're often confused what should be fitting for them. Everybody wants a personalized taste, but of course, those are uh, definitely possible in today's world, which was not possible probably a decade back. Right, today everything is about personalization, right from the seat cushions to your braking style, your driving style, your fragrance you use inside the car, everything, the foot mats, the color, everything, right? I mean, probably a manufacturer doesn't have a color of that, but you can really order for it and place it. So customer experience is just not about just expectation and personalization. It's getting into space of how um, social media is influencing their purchase pattern, how they're not just reading reviews, but they're also interested in verifying if those reviews are genuine, fake, what is the kind of accuracy of those reviews. So that is where the penetration point, which was probably more of offline and analog in the erstwhile, probably 5 to 8 years back, today has transformed a lot. So this is kind of Aftermarket, this is what you see as a trend. Obviously, every market is growing, the economy is growing, no doubt about it. But today, if you look at aftermarket, it is a segment where spare parts were predominantly available with dealers. When you want to basically, for example, purchase a tire and replace just one tire of your car, right? But today you can actually purchase tire on marketplace like Amazon, eBay, right, or even any of the automobile websites. But then you could you install yourself? Could you basically have Amazon sent to a workstation of the neighborhood where the customer's house is, or Amazon can send to customer's house and the customer drives the car along with the product what he brought online and make a mechanic install at that workstation. So all kinds of fulfillment models are something which has been experienced. But the expectation here is how I can basically offer the right promising again for the spare part to be visible, because there are so many options today possible for customers to buy spare parts, get the services. And when I say services, it's not just physical products, it's value added services. Like the classic example, if you have a lost key, you're stranded in probably a highway, right? And unfortunately, the car got locked down. So those could be value added services. So that is where aftermarket size is also really growing, not just in Europe. I mean, it's definitely all over the place, right? And moving on, so this is kind of journey of a customer, a B2C customer who is basically buying his car. It can be a new car or a used car, doesn't matter. The flow is very much similar, except that there are more orchestration parties in the used car journey, because the used car is a market where talking about historical claims, historical accidents, insurance claims of the car, the mileage of the car, there are any fraudulent criminal activities on the car. There is a vehicle identification number. So that is additional step which comes in. Probably there is a clearance from the Department of Transport. That is coming in the used car. Other than that, it is not very different from the customer expectation and experience. Today, there are a lot of websites even giving this information about used car. So used car or new car, I think the longer pole is definitely the pre-purchase, because this is where customers spend easily 4 to 6 weeks. Everybody definitely is not just looking into digital part of reviews, understanding what the make or model of the car offers in terms of features, but also definitely want to drive the car themselves, look and feel, touch and feel. All of that is still not going to go away. It's still there. But there are more parts to the technology today which are enabling customer to sit in their home and feel how a Mercedes Benz will look like driving a particular make, or probably a Toyota, right, or a Honda. So that is where augmented reality and all kinds of technologies have come into place today, where customers can experience, feel, and then they're already approaching with a narrowed down list of filtered choices to make the next level of decision. Right. First, you have to narrow down a manufacturer. It could be Honda, it could be Honda, Daimler Chrysler, General Motors, etc. Then in that you have a segment, you have a budget, and then you have a opportunity to personalize features and so on. So there's a lot of bifurcation from the big tree where customers take a lot of time. So that is where the technology is trying to help make customer penetrate faster, make decision faster. So this is where there's a lot of shift in the way customers are behaving, thinking, operating. Now, post customers interest in a particular choice of vehicle, that is where they obviously route into the call center desk, the dealer store for a test drive. They book appointments, and then obviously test drive goes for probably some of the customers do a long test drive onto an highway, whereas some of customers are more inclined towards a city test drive. So that is where it comes in with diverse driving style, diverse set of needs for family purposes, for senior citizens, so on and so forth. And that is where it comes to the next step. Okay, I'm convinced with the driving test. I'm happy with this. I'm narrowed down on this. Now that's a part of the negotiation. Okay, what are the freebies coming along with the purchase of a particular car or a vehicle? When I say car, I'm not just saying only commercial or domestic. It could be a two-wheeler bike, right? So, or it could be like uh, FedEx or DHL buying like in bulk trucks. So it can be any of this part of the game. However, so that part is where customers are getting into negotiation, bulk buying for B2B. If you're buying 50 trucks for a particular country for their warehouse, just to logistics and distribution, it's a different bulk game. Whereas in B2C, it's probably unit by unit, and negotiation happens, and then the purchase gets confirmed. Now, from this point in time, you also see a pattern where businesses are pushing customers to go more and more online booking. So that is where incentives, promotions are also offered for customers to come, explore, uh, get probably, let's say, you buy book a car online and then next 3 year service is on them. Regular periodic checks are on them, which are free. So that kind of incentives are coming in, warranties are coming, all of that, right? So obviously the store associated, the dealer store is the first touch point, human touch point, who has empathy towards a customer budget, personalized needs, so on. And he basically, he or she uh, engages the customer in a more, I'll say, friendly way, approach it in a way where this suits you, this doesn't suit you for ABC reasons. And that is where the customer relationship comes in. Customers' history, customers' interest, all of that comes. Somebody is not interested in a lot of IoT based features. Rather, they are interested in safety, right? Some of the customer is not interested in probably a lot of boot space because they don't really do a lot of hiking at all. They don't really take their bike along with the trail. So that is where all of these discussions happen and all of that. So post purchase is where the regular customer interactions happen. This is the regular periodic checks which keeps happening with customers on a predefined basis. It is not sufficient that, okay, I'm in basically offering the customers as a follow-up and say, hey, your car is up for servicing, can you basically drop? How well are the value-added service bundled? For example, can I arrange for a pickup and drop from one of my workstation drivers to come to your home, pick your car, get it serviced, and again drive it back to your place? Right? That is what customers are today asking for. It's not just about, okay, calling the customer, your car is due for service. That is not good enough. So those are the next level of things what is really pushing into the modern customer journeys. So moving on, I think these are the supply chain ecosystem parties, what we see in the automobile space. Obviously, equipment manufacturers, these are the sell side of the supply chain who are on the one side of the spectrum. They obviously assemble few spare parts, they manufacture spare parts, and there are suppliers who assemble spare parts coming from different suppliers, different manufacturers in different ratios, right? For example, when I say ratios and assembly, it is about a tire having a rim with 12 nuts and bolts. So 1 is to 12 ratio for such a assortment for a single tire to be assembled. So suppliers definitely take from manufacturers, they assemble, but they are part of the supply chain. Wholesalers obviously stock in finished goods and raw goods, which we know. Dealers are the one who have the completely finished goods in terms of a car being completely sold, or probably a service offered to customer, right, from the dealers in terms of uh, experience, in terms of smaller units of packages, right? And the service, when I say service, can be actually just kind of roadside assistance, what you see on the right side here. It can be a pure roadside assistance, or it can be like a warranty, extended warranty. Those kind of services are logical services offered by dealers along with the physical products what they really sell. And that is where the opportunity for customers to come into the store, talk to dealers. There is an upselling happening. You want to buy floor mats, you want to buy radium lights, you want to customize your um, the brake pads, the brake shoes, and so on. Right? That is part of the dealer entity here. The workshop and repair centers are kind of, as we know, kind of fulfillment centers. They operate in very close network of the supply chain in terms of what spare parts are available, finished goods are available, raw goods are available. And these units are ones where you have resource personnel tied to them. There is skill set and capacity available for each resource pool. When we call resource pool, it is kind of somebody working on the electrical part of the um, mechanics in the car, which is like ACs and lights and headlights and so on, right? Versus somebody working on more of tires or on the mechanic side, somebody working on coolants and the brake pads or kind of in the fluid mechanics. So you'll have different skill sets coming in, and they definitely, each of the workshops or repair centers are basically housing them. One thing which needs to understand from business perspective, you might not really have your network of all workshops and repair centers or assembly plants all over. So you can potentially have third party even workshop or installation points. The reason is you need to give the customer experience what they ask about. Can I basically buy this car and get the service through the length and breadth of the nation? If the answer is yes, probably you might not have your own network in every place, but can you tie up with third party entities to get to that kind of last mile service for the customer wherever he is, right? If you look at in Europe, probably you're in the northern star, viewing the lights all the way till Portugal, right? So that is what is the comfort of driving experience, right? So the value added services, I think these are more for definitely customers to grab today. Customers are asking for this, but these are third party completely entities where they, there are financial implications in terms of talking to them, like insurance as a third party entity, department for transport, and so on. And the orchestration to them at right points in time through the customer journey, what we saw in the previous slide, becomes very important for new cars and used cars both. So moving on, I think these are the use cases what we see for the business personas. Customer, I think we went through a detailed journey on how customers go through the whole cycle of buying, decision making, and then keeping the customer warm after the decision made is made, the payment is realized, because there is a lead time for car to be delivered after the decision is made. Visibility, experience, all of that comes in from the customer. Store dealer is, like I said, is most uh, prima facie of the whole ecosystem, because customers are talking to them. They basically express their situation, need, personalization aspects. um, they inquire about everything from the store dealer associate in the store, right? So that is why this is a strong use case for customer to get influence with decision making, and all the information available to store dealer associate at his fingertips, whether it is an app, whether it is a kiosk, or it's a pad. The dealer associate must be equipped to get all the information to make customers comfortable. Manufacturer, I think this is what we spoke earlier about, how manufacturer today at the one side of the spectrum of supply chain is manufacturing finished goods or even raw material, and how the spare parts are stocked up. Probably there is a situation where some of the spare parts were manufactured for car ABC or a model ABC, but today that model is stopped. But can you actually also stop the spare parts? Probably not. There are probably tons of cars using those spare parts, and they still need to get service for the next decade. So how well you plan for that, how well that visibility of spare parts is made available to all the dealers who are the front end sellers, right? That becomes very critical. Call center is again more of relationship management, what we see on helping customers with enough information about test drives, appointment slots, service history, car mileage, right? Quotation management, iteration, experience, total experience, right? So that is what we see. Service center is a kind of resource pool, like I said, full of technicians in different parts of the mechanical engineering. In different industries, you'll see different kind of uh, engineers working on this, and they work on work orders. Work orders nothing but tasks which primarily coming out of fulfillment requests. So it can be sequence of work orders, but they can be done in sequence, or they can be done in parallel, right? And that is what tasks are meant for. For example, you can't basically force a sequence for somebody working on tire parts and somebody working inside the car as part of the interior or the upholstery, right? So those can go in parallel, but there can be something in sequencing, because somebody is working on 4 set of tires and the rims and the wheel balancing and the alignment. They have to go in sequencing. So that is where the different set of tasks and engineers and mechanics come in. Used car retailer, I think this pretty much straightforward. The valuation of the car is something we have not spoken about, because this is very key for customer to have a conviction about, is the used car worth the right price I'm paying for. So how do I know for it? Can the dealer help me evaluate this car in the right price? How can I be convinced that this is the right model make for me? It can go for next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years based on. So these are the use cases and the personas what we saw. I'll just also take few more minutes on challenges on the aftermarket, because the aftermarket is completely on spares and maintenance and services. So when we see this part of the ecosystem in the aftermarket, you will see situations where you are actually bundling a lot of physical products and virtual products as a business leader, as a catalog manager, to be offered. The reason is there can be deprecated products, there can be deprecated assortments, but you can do a mix and match. There can be substitutes which can be brought in to offer the right assortment even for the deprecated spare parts, but the cars are still running on the road today, right? The trucks are still operating on the road. So how do you play that assortment? How do you make sure that assortments are visible for the category and the catalog manager? This goes hand in hand with upselling and cross selling. Sometimes people get confused substitutes and cross selling, but substitutes are very different. Upselling and cross selling is hand in hand, because upselling is okay, you buy this now, probably you want to change nuts and bolts of this 14-inch alloy wheel. Now there is an opportunity to upgrade to 16-inch alloy wheel, because today the 4 years later, this kind of car with a different diamond cut wheel on 16 inch is going to give more mileage to you. So that is where upselling comes. It's not a like to like replacement in the what we saw in like assortment mix and category, right? On visibility of these spare parts, the promising of expected delivery dates is very critical. Unless you are able to track your spare parts, make it visible enough, and make the customer understand through the dealers, through the call center, through the stores, through the manufacturer, supply chain visibility, transparency is essential. But there are opportunities where their workstations have to collaborate each other. You might not have a spare part in workstation A or a repair center A, but it has to be transferred to some other repair center and then get the assembly done. So again, orchestration is required to move product from one to another. Visibility is required, right? So these are some of things which really are challenging. It's not going to be easy, because every uh, spare part comes with a unique technical specification. It can be turbo, it can be torque, it can be pressure management, it can be a force, what it gets on the road, it can be the weather, the temperature, the kind of roads what the customer intends to drive. A lot of these factors come in to offer the right thing, and that's where specifications keep changing from region to region, weather to weather, customer to customer driving style, so on. MTO is again big challenge. The reason is probably 10 years back we were not seeing a lot of MTOs unless there were only premium manufacturers offering that. For example, like Daimler, Chrysler, or General Motors. Today, people, customers are expecting this at every level, even for a low entry segment car. Meaning, you would want definitely made to order kind of situations where I want a brand to be offered with this color. Maybe the manufacturer is not doing it black, because the black is not the interest of their 95% of their customer community. But as a customer, I want this black. So that's an MT, right? Or I want the upholstery to be designed very ethnically in the way my religion is supporting. So it could be any kind of things about MTO. And again, you don't want to promise something in the MTO region and end up with a cancellation. So how well you are able to offer MTO, because the conviction of offering MTO means the conviction of understanding your supply chain to the more granular level. That is extremely key. The last thing what we see here in the aftermarket is also counterfeit spare parts. This is something which is plaguing the industry long time, and it is still going to haunt big with the kind of fraudulent spare parts entering into the market, what we know as gray markets, and customers are fooled around. They do not have understanding of whether the product is genuine or fake. One second is there warranty guarantee which is associated with it, or will this assembly really fail when the fake spare part is basically installed on the car? So these are very top challenges in the aftermarket. Now let's see how some of these challenges can be addressed with solutions what we bring from Acura and IBM. I'll just hand over to my good friend and colleague Suhi for the solutions perspective.
Thank you, Jagdish. So we've heard a lot about the industry knowledge on the automotive industry, and I'm guessing what you're thinking is how can we help? So by leveraging IBM's Sterling Order Management System in collaboration with the Akuva consulting team, we can help you achieve the capabilities that are shown on this slide. But just before we go on to these capabilities, firstly, I want to speak about the Sterling Order Management System solution itself. So it is renowned as the market-leading solution on the market, offering a wide range of capabilities and features that are customized to meet the unique needs of our clients. Solution can also be integrated with an existing platform, or also it can be used for its own individual microservices capabilities as well. So what essentially is Sterling Order Management System? So Sterling Order Management System provides a single point of connection between your customer demand channels and your inventory supply channels. So customer demand channels are your car brand e-commerce websites, your call centers, your marketplaces, and connecting that information to your inventory supply channels such as warehouses, distribution centers, dealerships, and really providing this information to our automotive clients can allow them to seamlessly orchestrate through their orders across all of their channels. Additionally, you also be able to provide a unified view of inventory. So that includes inventory of your new and used cars for spare parts, and that could be across all your channels and supply chain partners as well. And having real-time access to information is critical, especially for automotive organizations who need to meet customer service level agreements in order to maintain their own brand reputation, but also maintain that customer loyalty that they have as well. We're going to speak about some more rich capabilities on the next slide, where it shows that we can also manage reverse logistics. So that is tracking and linking returned parts to the original sales order, which allows our clients to efficiently manage the returns process. In the middle, we have supply collaboration. And what this means is you're able to fulfill some of those custom orders, not from your typical inventory locations, such as your warehouses, your distribution centers, and dealerships, but from dropship vendors who can directly ship those spare parts to the customers in order to avoid any sort of delays. On the far right, you see the call center. So this is a web-based solution that provides customer service representatives with a single point of access to commerce information. And what that means for an automotive sense is that when your customer service reps are using it for after sales support, so that can be vehicle maintenance, warranty claims, scheduling for appointments. It can also mean diverting some of those orders that were originally for home delivery, now diverting those orders to pick up at your local dealership. The call center will allow you to carry out those actions and make it as easy as possible for the customer service representatives to do that as well. I now want to speak about three case studies that we are very proud of at IBM, and ones that boast the incredible work that Sterling OMS can do for the automotive market. So the first one is based in the US. They're a leading automotive aftermarket parts provider, and the client was looking to streamline both their B2C and B2B sales across all their demand channels. So by implementing Sterling Order Management SaaS solution, we were able to deliver return on investment and increase the revenue for the client. But this was done by implementing the inventory visibility that Sterling OMS provides across all their inventory locations. So with this increased visibility in the inventory, it allowed them to optimize their order orchestration process and sourcing processes to meet those demands that the customers and the businesses were requiring from them without any sort of delay. I now want to discuss two other use cases which have increased revenue through the delivery of new customer experiences. So this one is a leading automotive manufacturing company who are looking to grow their aftermarket business and deliver a modern customer fulfillment experience. And so what IBM Sterling OMS was able to do was implement a lot of the customers who had placed their orders online, they were able to select from a flexible set of options to fulfill from. So options such as internal warehouses, fulfillment centers, a choice of 4,000 network of dealers that were part of the business, allow the customer to pick their order from any of these inventory locations. And what that really provides is the flexibility for the customers to choose where they want their orders from, but also that freedom and giving them that power to make it as easy as possible, this process. So by providing inventory visibility and creating some sourcing rules that allow them to speak to each individual inventory locations, they were able to place orders from any of the locations that was most convenient for them. Now, the customer was also able to select not just the delivery option or whether to pick up in a dealership, but also other options that we were provided was installation services. So we gave insight into whether you'll be able to get installation and what day will it most likely be available, just by tying in information such as calendars with these third-party organizations and whether they can install it for you or not. So providing that sort of information, Sterling OMS can also work with as well. Now, the final case study was a large original equipment manufacturer with a huge network of dealers who was looking to grow their aftermarket business and deliver new customer experiences. So what IBM had done was create a series of web microsites to capture and fulfill a lot of these customer orders. So websites such as brand websites, dealer websites, a B2B dealer portal for dealer warehouse orders. By creating these micro websites, we were able to provide visibility, enable order orchestration across all these inventory sources, which also allowed for delivery and installation services as well. Now, with all three of these use cases, what I've really highlighted is how Sterling OMS can really streamline an automotive order orchestration process. And as well as that, providing flexibility for the customer to choose where they want their orders to be fulfilled from in the most easiest way possible. And I want to hand back to Jagdish to wrap up the webinar.
Yeah, thanks for the detailed insights on the solution and the case studies. I think these success stories mean a lot from the solution perspective and the challenges what this industry is really facing. Now, I think we'll open up for questions for the audience and we'll stop right